There we go. Cannabis news. I'm your host, Joe Klare. Not the smoothest start in the world, but we continue on. We soldier on, as they say. It's Cannabis news. As I said, I'm your host, Joe Klare. It is May 17th, 2019. The show, of course, is presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check that out and us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab to find this show. There's a bunch of great articles there as well from a ton of great writers, social media links, and more. Check out marijuanatimes.org. Today, talking about California lawmakers wanting to expand the number of retail shops in the state. We'll also hear from Michiganders. Is that what people from Michigan are called? Michiganders. What they think about marijuana legalization. And an update on medical marijuana in Texas. Things are still alive in Texas, so that is a good thing. All of that's coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside. Nature-side.com and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you are growing. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use banned pesticides. You know the drill, and you know where to go. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. They're awesome for that reason and so many more. Go check out Natureside right now. Well, not right now. After the show, as I say. Or, right, if you want to pause the show and go open up another tab, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Do it in whatever order you feel most comfortable with, as long as you get it done, as they say. This first story from yours truly, marijuanatimes.org. California lawmakers want to increase the number of marijuana retail shops. Basically, most of the state, at least two-thirds of the state, or jurisdictions in California, have banned retail marijuana shops, even though a lot of those districts, the voters in those jurisdictions voted for cannabis legalization. So basically, lawmakers in California are considering a proposal that would force jurisdictions where voters approved Proposition 64 only in those cities and towns and counties where voters approved Prop 64. They would have to allow at least some cannabis retailers. This is Assembly Bill 1356. Cities and towns would have to permit at least one cannabis retailer for every 4 bars or restaurants with a liquor license, or for one for every 10,000 residents, whichever is fewer. That would add over 2,000 more retailers to the roughly 631 that now exist. People are, obviously some jurisdictions who voted, their lawmakers, even though voters in that jurisdiction voted to approve Prop 64, the city council or the powers that be in that jurisdiction decided to ban retail shops nonetheless. Of course, no politician or no lawmaker really wants power to be taken from them, but the California retail market is struggling to get off the ground, and the reason is restriction of supply. You think about, 2,600 retailers versus 600 retailers, it's a big deal. And even if you advocate for local control, I don't see how you can square the fact that lawmakers have seemingly overridden the voters in their jurisdiction who voted for Prop 64 by saying, well, okay, legalization, but you're not going to sell it here. There's going to be no jobs from it. There's going to be no tax revenue from it. There's not going to be any economic activity from it. We're going to forego all that. It seems kind of ludicrous, for lack of a better term. But I think it's a pretty good term. This next story is out of Michigan. Basically, this newspaper in Michigan went around to different people in the state, asking them what they think about legalization. And, let's check those people out with, of course, my commentary interspersed.
I don't think the city going to do the right thing. They're doing it because of the money. Profit. Yeah. We don't need it. We like peace, quiet neighborhood.
Look, I'm sure that woman's a perfectly sweet woman in real life. And that little snippet isn't indicative of, her entire personality, but none of that made any sense. None of that made any sense. The city's only in it for profit. They're not going to do it right. We don't need it. We like peace and quiet. I don't get any of that and what it has to do with legalization. But she gets one vote like everybody else. She's clearly uninformed on the issue of marijuana legalization, and yet her vote counts as much as mine, who knows a lot about marijuana legalization. And herein lies some of the problem. Continuing now.
See many students on my school bus.
Yeah, check this guy out. Listen to this guy.
That have very difficult living situations at home.
He drives a school bus A lot of the kids have difficult living situations at home. Okay.
And quite often,
Right.
the majority of the time,
Right.
those difficult situations are centered around alcohol abuse
Mm-hmm.
and or oftentimes drug abuse,
Okay. So far, alcohol and drug abuse. Yeah, that's bad.
specifically marijuana.
Specifically marijuana. What about it? That's the drug that's causing all the problems with these kids. The rampant marijuana abuse by their parents is giving them tough living situations, more so than all the other illegal drugs, illicit drugs, harder drugs, more so than alcohol. You're kidding me?
And I see the difficulties and challenges that the young students go through on a daily basis. Because
See, again, this guy said nothing. He said absolutely nothing. There's a lot of drug problems on kids in my school bus, or parents, specifically marijuana. What do you have to prove that? What do you have to back that up? You surely don't have logic. You surely don't have common sense, so you need something else.
We got a lot of kids that out here for the wrong thing. Then they
Right.
send people in there to get it, like a lot of underage kids. You got idiots that'll do
Okay.
it, go get it for them. So I don't think it should.
I don't think it should. I'm assuming he means marijuana legalization. What he's saying is, under legalization, young kids will be able to get marijuana by having older adults go in and buy it for them. These are the older adults who would be facing criminal prosecution if they did something like that, by the way. And he thinks that is bad. But the current regime of any kid of any age buying from any dealer anywhere at any time with no supervision, no regulation, no anything, that's preferable to this made-up fantasy where kids are going to be paying adults to go in and buy them weed. First of all, if a kid needs weed that bad, they're not going to go through all that. They're just going to go buy it from the dealer they already bought from. The dealer they already know. Because they're doing it right now. 15, 16, 17-year-olds buying mad amounts of weed, to use the common vernacular of the day. Mad amounts of weed. This guy says, legalization, they're going to be paying, they're going to have adults going and get it for them. First of all, no, they're not. Second of all, how's that worse? How's that worse? And how could the volume of that amount of marijuana flowing through that channel even equal what's flowing through the black market channels as we speak? Again, they know nothing about this issue. Nothing. They got a camera and a microphone stuck in their face. They said, tell us about marijuana legalization. And instead of saying the truth, I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't really thought about it. I haven't read anything about it. I haven't watched any videos about it. I have not done any research whatsoever on this issue, so I decline to answer your questions on that basis. None of them said that because they got a camera and a microphone in their face, so they want to say something. They want to sound like they know what they're talking about. Like if someone asked me about carburetors on a 1964 Mustang, and I just started going off that, it's metal and, you start it and it kind of goes in there and it kind of combusts or whatever, and you get the filter around it and the lid with a little screw-on thing. I sound like a moron. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I said nothing. That's what these people sound like with marijuana legalization. Please, ask me about real axle differentiation on a 1971 Dodge Challenger. I'll blow you away.
We asked 20 people across Michigan how they felt about allowing
MLive, by the way. Amy Biolicini, MLive's marijuana beat reporter. So apparently that's a thing. See, that's a job legalization created right there.
marijuana businesses into their community. People opposed to pot shops are worried children will have too much access to weed. Many people are ready for retail stores, but their local governments aren't.
They're worried children in legalization will have too much access to weed. Because instead of them buying it and not having their ID checked just from some illicit dealer, they would have to go into a store or go through the whole rigmarole of paying an adult to go in and get it for them. This notion that legalization leads to more teen use is not borne out by common sense, logic, or any data that we've gotten from places like Washington, Oregon, and Colorado. None whatsoever. In fact, every other age group under legalization seems to use more marijuana except for teenagers. And the farther you go, the more it's going up. Check out the statistics for the over 55 and over 65 age bracket when it comes to marijuana use over the last 5 or 6 years. That's exploded. It's crazy. You want to say we shouldn't legalize because elderly people are going to use much more marijuana? Well, that's at least a valid opinion because they are. They most certainly are. But guess who's not? Teenagers. Why? Because it's harder to get under legalization than it is under prohibition. That's the bottom line. It's harder for them to get. Continuing. God, there's still 3 minutes left of this. I don't know if I'm going to get through this whole video. Really. I'm unloading with both barrels here. We'll see how much energy I have left.
Quite there yet. Even though Michigan voters legalized marijuana, it doesn't mean businesses can open up anywhere. There's still local control. So far, more than 400 cities and townships have banned businesses from opening. They're worried their towns won't see profit from the business and will only pay in other ways.
I think it's a fool's errand to think that the tax revenue is going to actually make money. There's cost to enforcement.
There's cost to enforcement. There's cost to enforcement of what? Legalization? As opposed to what? The cost of enforcement of prohibition? They're not, they don't even think about what they're saying. This guy is talking about the cost of enforcement of legalization. When he would just think for a second how dumb that sounds. Because you compare it to the current cost of prohibition, and it's much less. Well, let's hear more from this guy who's clearly really into this issue and knows a lot about it.
Cost to the ramifications of use of marijuana.
Cost to the ramifications of use of marijuana. Holy crap. Holy crap. This guy is spitting gibberish. He's spitting fire gibberish at you. It means not just like the guy before. He's saying things that mean nothing. What costs of ramifications? Where are these costs? I've heard about them. I've heard the costs are exorbitant, but I don't see them anywhere. Continue. I hope this guy has more to say.
The people that are going to make the money are those that don't live in Pontiac. That's the Bloomfield Hills folks, there.
What does that mean? If they open up marijuana retail shops in Pontiac, Michigan, the people in Pontiac aren't going to make any money? What if the people get jobs? Don't people in Pontiac, Michigan need jobs? Is the unemployment rate in Pontiac, Michigan really 0.0%? That's incredible. That's incredible. He's saying that other people are going to make money that live elsewhere? Oh, really? Yeah? Is that what you think about when you shop at Walmart? How people, the millionaires in Arkansas or the billionaires in Arkansas are making money? Is that what you're thinking about when you shop at Walmart? Or are you just happy to have a place to shop and a place that provides jobs for your community? This is another thing that blows me away. Employment is not what it used to be. Jobs. Bringing jobs to the community. That's just not a big deal anymore. Nobody talks about that anymore. We're going to bring jobs in here. We're going to bring in jobs. No. It's talking about what we're going to keep out. Where we're going to stop. Economic activity. Oh, no. People in Bloomfield Hills are going to make money. Oh, are they? Well, guess who's not going to make money? People in Pontiac who aren't going to have any jobs. I'm sure it's booming. I'm sure it's booming. I heard the American car industry is exploding. Continuing.
They're out to make a buck.
Many people are beginning to see marijuana less as an illegal substance.
That's a whole nother pet peeve of mine. People are out to make a buck. You know how many things in your life are awesome because people are out to make a buck? The broadcasting software I'm using this, whatever you're watching this on, your phone, your house, your TV, your car, all of these things exist because people are looking to make a buck. They would not exist if not for that. And if they did, it'd be some garbage version like the post office. They're not trying to make a buck at the post office. That's why it sucks. You know where they are making a buck at? Amazon, FedEx, UPS. How many packages you get from those people all the time? How many great products are delivered right to your door by people who want to make a buck? You want the government to make the crap you buy from Amazon? Be my guest. Be my guest, comrade. I'm sure it'll be top quality. The Soviet Union was known for making all kinds of great consumer goods. It was amazing. People still talk about Soviet cars and how awesome they were. Just about every single comfort in your life originated with someone who wanted to make a buck. But it's so evil. Oh, you know why I'm sitting here? To make a buck. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm paid to do this show. So I do it 5 days a week. Because I value my time. I value my efforts. I value my research. I value my knowledge. So I get paid to do it. And to write. And to do my other shows. Because I value my time. Am I just out to make a buck? Well, I guess when it comes right down to it, I guess I am. But how I make a buck is advocating for cannabis legalization. It has been for a long time. Fighting for cannabis legalization enables me to make a buck. So I will continue to fight for it, whether I make a buck or not, but I'm going to go for the former. I'm going to try to make a buck. Let's hear more from these people.
And more like alcohol or tobacco.
It's gonna be. So you might as well just let it go. Let it be. Because they let smoking, cigarettes, they let booze here. Why not that? And
Okay, look, this is going long. This woman agrees with legalization. Most people in the rest of the video agree that legalization is going to be a good thing for one reason or another. Here's the bottom line. I don't care what any of them think. This lady that's for legalization, I don't care. I don't care. Her opinion shouldn't matter. I'm sure people who watch this show a lot, you can say it with me. People who grow, sell, possess, consume cannabis are not infringing on the rights of anyone else. That's why they are not criminals. That's it. I don't care what anyone else thinks about it. I don't care if they don't like it. I don't care if they don't like the smell. I don't care if their cousin did it and they didn't like it and it ruined their life. I don't care if they think the sky is going to fall in. I don't care if they think it causes lung cancer. I don't care if they think a joint kills 7.8 billion brain cells for every toke. I don't care. I don't care if they're the biggest legalization advocate in the world. They love it. They talk about it all the time to everybody. I don't care. It shouldn't matter. Obviously it does because of the prohibition regime that we're under over the last 8+ decades, but it shouldn't matter. It's not their business. It's not their business if someone buys marijuana from someone else. It's just not. A transaction between two adults. It's not your business. And yes, I know that applies to a lot of other things. And yes, I'm on that train too. Consenting adults coming into a transaction that affects no one else is no one's business. That's it. So all these people you just saw, I don't care what they think. I use their thoughts to express my own thoughts because obviously people who watch the show care what I think or they wouldn't be watching. I think it's sort of implied. But you shouldn't. What I think shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter that I sit here 5 days a week talking about cannabis legalization, how awesome it is. It shouldn't matter what my opinion is about it. But it does. So, here I am. Making a buck, as they say. Shh. Don't tell anybody that. TexasTribune.org. Last story. A little update from Texas on medical marijuana. Texas medical marijuana expansion gained steam in the Senate, even after previous stonewalling. Even as the Senate stonewalls a handful of bills aimed at lessening criminal penalties for possession of marijuana, an upper chamber committee advanced legislation Friday that aims to vastly expand who has access to medical cannabis in the state. As filed, State Rep Stephanie Click's House Bill 3703 would add multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, and spasticity to the list of debilitating medical conditions that qualify for cannabis oil. The progress on her bill comes 4 years after Click authored legislation that narrowly opened up the state to the sale of the medicine. The bill requires approval by the full Senate chamber before it can return to the Texas House. That's where lawmakers have already approved 2 bills to drastically expand the compassionate use program, which currently only allows the sale of cannabis oil to people with intractable epilepsy who meet certain requirements. So the decriminalization stuff is not faring well, but some part of an expansion of medical marijuana seems to still be alive in Texas. There would still be, while laying out the bill in front of the Senate committee Friday, State Senator Donna Campbell introduced a reworked version of the measure that further expanded which Texans have access to the medicine under her version of the bill. The Texas Department of Public Safety would still have oversight of the compassionate use program. Her revised bill also keeps intact the 0.5% cap on the amount of THC medical cannabis products are legally allowed to contain. So they're not going nuts in Texas. They're just expanding it slightly, hopefully. Which, as I said before, it's progress. But for those who mentioned in the article, people with PTSD and other people who are still going to be criminals, even if this gets through in Texas, the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people in Texas who are still going to remain criminals, it's awful. And it's slow. It's slow. It's so slow. When you think about how easy it was to prohibit marijuana, and you think about how hard it's been, or how hard it is to reverse that prohibition, it's a slow process. I mean, by any stretch of the imagination, by any way you want to term that word, slow, it's too slow. People are suffering, and people, like the guy later in this article, the guy talking about PTSD. Let me scroll down. This was a long article. Menendez, one of the senators, State Senator Jose Menendez, a San Antonio Democrat who filed a medical marijuana expansion legislative bill this legislative session that never got a hearing, raised questions about the potential shortfalls of Click's bill. What happens if the legislature does not address PTSD in this bill? What do you think is going to be? Who do you think this is going to? What do you think is going to be the impact? What is my problem? I lost my ability to read for a few seconds. Menendez asked Keith Crook, retired Air Force veteran who testified on the bill. Crook responded, quote, "I'm going to bury more of my friends because this medicine saved my life, and there are people who don't have the ability to access it or be refused to access to it because of the law. I'm a criminal. I use every day, but I'm just trying to stay alive and do the right thing." These people are left behind. You can say, well, some people who need it are getting it, and we'll work on the rest of them later, as they do later in the article, one of the lawmakers. That's swell. It really is. I mean, your efforts are appreciated. I don't, there's no way not to sound ungrateful when saying it's not enough, but it's not enough. It's simply not enough. And in Texas, it's nowhere near enough. If you're talking about actually giving access to people for something that they should already have access to, we shouldn't be talking about this. Some guy with PTSD in Texas, he wants to smoke a joint. He wants to go somewhere and buy it legally. Why are we talking about this? What is the problem? What's going to happen to him? Is he going to die? Or is he going to go to sleep? Is he going to have less bad dreams? Is he going to have less pain, less anxiety, less depression? I don't know. Even if it did, even if it was horrible for him, it's not your business. But it's not. And it's still not your business. And yet, these people have to go and testify in front of these committees, these veterans, these sick people. They have to get in front of these committees and beg these people for permission to have a choice to use marijuana and not be considered a criminal or have any criminal or illegal ramifications from that. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. We'll continue to talk about it because, again, that's how I make a buck. Cannabis news 5 days a week. The Marijuana Times, marijuanatimes.org. Check us out on YouTube, Vimeo, Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Nature Side, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for watching and listening. End of another week. Go enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week right here on Cannabis News.